Despite their seemingly ordinary appearance, Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka, known as the Ken and Barbie Killers, were a sinister duo. Before being imprisoned for numerous murders, tortures, and rapes, Bernardo was a salesman who exploited his sales skills to lure female victims. He meticulously studied the art of seduction, applying the same principles he used in business. Inspired by the novel American Psycho, Bernardo's sadistic tendencies escalated after meeting and marrying Homolka, who actively encouraged his behavior. Thus emerged the Ken and Barbie Killers. Their reign of terror spanned from 1986 to 1992, leaving a trail of at least 13 rapes and 3 murders in the Toronto area. This chilling story exposes the depths of depravity committed by Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka. Happy childhood to Scarborough rapist. On August 27, 1964, in Ontario, Canada, Paul Bernardo was born to Kenneth and Marilyn Bernardo. While the Bernardo family appeared financially prosperous and stable, this facade concealed a sinister reality. In 1975, allegations of child molestation surfaced against Kenneth Bernardo, including rumors of abuse within the family. Despite these disturbing circumstances, Paul Bernardo initially exhibited a cheerful and carefree demeanor. However, his behavior underwent a significant shift at age 16, when his mother revealed that he was the product of an extramarital affair. This revelation marked a turning point in his outward presentation. Bernardo's attitude toward his mother became disdainful, referring to her as a slob and whore. During his studies at the University of Toronto, he developed a pattern of charming and humiliating women in bars, using his physical attractiveness to manipulate and exploit them. Paul Bernardo's sinister impulses would soon manifest in sinister ways, as he succumbed to a darkness that lay beneath his charming exterior. In the quiet suburban town of Scarborough, Ontario, a chilling pattern of violent crimes emerged in May 1987. Over the course of almost 5 years, the Scarborough rapist, later identified as Paul Bernardo, terrorized the area with a series of horrific assaults on young women. Between the ages of 15 and 21, at least 19 victims fell prey to the ruthless attacks. Each incident consistently involved brutal beatings, intense verbal abuse, and dire threats, indicating a clear intent to discourage victims from reporting the crimes to the authorities. Notably, all assaults occurred around bus stops, except for one case where a 15-year-old girl was attacked in her own bedroom. Despite the severity and frequency of these incidents, Bernardo managed to evade suspicion twice when he was questioned by police. It wasn't until May 1990, when one of his victims provided an accurate description of the assailant, that the true extent of his crimes was revealed. During his reign of terror, Bernardo's behavior became increasingly erratic as he was able to elude capture. This served to further traumatize the community, who lived in fear of the attacker, known only by his alias, the Scarborough Rapist. In 1987, Paul Bernardo met Karla Homolka at a party. Homolka was 17 years old then, and her outward appearance was that of a well-adjusted, pretty, smart, and popular girl who had a fondness for animals. After high school, she worked at a veterinary clinic, which was consistent with her likable and responsible persona. From the very beginning, Bernardo and Homolka had an immediate attraction to each other. However, it wasn't until Bernardo discovered that Homolka shared the same sick fantasies as him that their bond truly grew stronger. Before they became known as the Ken and Barbie Killers, Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka had already begun a sadomasochistic relationship, in which Bernardo played the role of an abusive master, and Homolka that of a willing slave. It is important to note that during this time, Bernardo was also engaging in the brutal rape of girls in Scarborough, with Homolka's knowledge and approval. The marriage between Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka would later prove to be a catalyst for the horrific events that would unfold. Their relationship was built on a foundation of abuse, manipulation, and a twisted sense of loyalty that would ultimately lead to unimaginable consequences. On December 23, 1990, at a Christmas party that the Homolka family was hosting, Homolka, in a shocking display of evil, spiked her own 15-year-old sister Tammy's drink with animal anesthetic she had stolen from the clinic where she worked. When the rest of the family retired for the night, Homolka and her fiancé Bernardo took turns in viciously sexually assaulting Tammy while she lay unconscious, even going as far as to videotape the horrific event. This disturbing incident, which occurred only 3 years into her relationship with Bernardo, marked a turning point in their lives, as it represented the escalation of a parade of disturbing and criminal acts that were to follow in the coming months. Homolka's warped desire to completely sexually exploit her sister Tammy and allow Bernardo to engage in every depraved act imaginable with her, even went as far as to encourage the rape of her young teenage sister. The fact that Homolka provided the anesthetic and actively participated in the rape of her sister while Bernardo filmed the entire ordeal reveals the depth of their twisted relationship and the depth of Homolka's depravity. This heinous act was a clear departure from the image of the perfect fiancé and sister she had always portrayed, and marked a new chapter in the lives of her family. Homolka's betrayal further compounded the trauma and devastation that Tammy endured. The aftermath of the crime was carefully planned by Homolka and Bernardo to avoid detection, with the rape occurring under the guise of a new family tradition, and the photo and video evidence hidden afterwards. It would forever capture the depraved actions of Homolka and Bernardo, and by extension her own involvement in the most heinous crime. Homolka's lack of empathy and compassion for her own sister, who had entrusted her with looking after her, was on full display that night, as her own relationship with Tammy had been forever stained by her and Bernardo's sadistic act. As Tammy's body convulsed, expelling vomit, her companions grew frantic. In a desperate attempt to conceal their involvement, they disposed of any incriminating evidence before summoning medical assistance. However, their efforts proved futile as the young girl succumbed to her injuries, never regaining consciousness. Despite the presence of an unexplained chemical burn on her face, the drugs present in her system remained undetected. The authorities hastily concluded her demise as an accidental choking incident caused by alcohol intoxication. Thus, the elusive Ken and Barbie Killers once again escaped accountability for their heinous actions. Despite the murder of Tammy Lynn Homolka, Paul Bernardo's thirst for violence remained unquenched. In 1991, Homolka lured another teenage acquaintance to her shared home with Bernardo. The couple drugged, abused, and videotaped the victim, who later awoke with no recollection of the harrowing ordeal. On June 29, 1991, Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka exchanged vows, coinciding with the gruesome discovery of human body parts in Lake Gibson. The remains were identified as 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey, who had been abducted and subjected to abuse over several days by the sadistic couple. Amidst this macabre discovery, the couple celebrated their nuptials with an extravagant ceremony, complete with a white horse-drawn carriage. Nearly a year later, on April 16, 1992, the couple claimed another victim, 15-year-old Kristen French. Her body was found battered and partially shaved in a ditch. The authorities recognized the connection between the two murders. Following the release of a composite sketch resembling Paul Bernardo, numerous tips poured in, including accounts from coworkers and acquaintances who had witnessed his disturbing behavior and violent tendencies. In January 1993, Homolka fled her marriage following a severe beating inflicted by her husband with a flashlight. Subsequently, within 2 months, a DNA sample collected from Bernardo matched the Scarborough rapist's profile, prompting surveillance and his eventual arrest in February 1993. The trial of Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka for the Ken and Barbie murders was starkly different for both accused. Homolka's plea deal had been hectic in its nature, as she sought to evade responsibility by testifying against her former husband and partner in crime. She had cross-examined their victims, exploiting their deepest fear and exhaustion, painting herself as the sympathetic victim in order to comply with the court's demands. She wanted a reduced sentence for cooperating with the authorities and tarnishing Bernardo's image. However, the unearthing of the horrific videotapes showed a more sinister truth that led to Homolka's plea deal falling apart. The court, aware of Homolka's manipulative and shallow attempt to seek sympathy, approved her bid for witness immunity in exchange for her cooperation, under the understanding that she would be cooperating to convince the court of Bernardo's crimes. The forensic evidence, culminating from an exhaustive search of the crime scenes and scientific analysis, had already implicated Karla in the initial phase of the double murder. The chilling videotapes detailed her involvement beyond a simple assisting role, but to that of an accomplice who actively participated in the brutalization and eventual slaughter of several victims. Her efforts in painting herself as one of Bernardo's victims with the intention of currying leniency only served to highlight her depravity. The issue of plea bargaining between Karla Homolka and the state proved a destructive dynamic, illustrating in stark relief the dangerous and reckless games criminals can play with the legal system. The approval of the plea deal binding by the state was a serious blunder, as it overlooked the inherent danger Karla presented to the community. This blunder led to the videotapes being discovered, which, as a result, significantly undermined Karla Homolka's story. July 24, 2005, was the day of reckoning for Karla Homolka. Her 12-year sentence, the government's compromise to get her tail, was outcome in vain when her true atrocities came to light. Despite this, she chose to spin this to her advantage, claiming that she was subjected to sexual exploitation in prison. Intrigued by her cunning nature, journalists and other inmates alike watched her every move, learning of her manipulation and control even behind bars. Since her release, she has given birth and remarried, the poster opposite of the evil and deceptive woman she depicted in the court. Her story chillingly highlights the worst extreme a human being can reach without a semblance of empathy. Far removed from the focus of the cameras, the reality of Karla Homolka lies in her crimes committed while attempting to deceive justice to be set free. In 2018, Bernardo's request for parole after serving 25 years in prison was rejected after a brief 30-minute deliberation. A representative for the victim's family stated that Bernardo had never expressed any remorse or apologized for his actions. During the hearing, Bernardo acknowledged that he had not experienced any sympathy for his victims, even at the time of the crimes. I would like to take this time to pay my respects to the victims and to all the families that were affected by these heinous acts on both sides. You deserved better and will forever be in our prayers. May you rest in peace. Conclusion. Even individuals with good intentions can become a destructive force when their actions align in a way that amplifies their negative qualities. It is crucial to recognize that the alignment of good intentions does not always lead to positive outcomes. When individuals with complementary strengths collaborate, it is essential to ensure that their values and motivations remain aligned. Otherwise, their combined actions can create a dangerous force that undermines the very principles that they initially sought to uphold. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more Killer Cliff Notes, and I'll see you in the next one.